Hello, everybody. It's Jake from the Bruin Show, and it is Thanksgiving Eve, the night before the big day with the turkey and the food and the football and all that stuff. And I am here at the beginning of the show, before we start the show, just to say thank you to everybody. Thank you, all of you. We appreciate you, all our What's Bruin Show audience, all of you UCLA fans, and whatever fan of a team you are. If you listen to this show, we are thankful for you. And I am super thankful for you guys because I've spent the last month or so trying to raise money for a half marathon I'm running at the Rose Bowl for the McCourt Foundation. And I set a goal for myself, and my goal was to raise $2,500 before Thanksgiving. And today, the day before Thanksgiving, I got my $2,500. So some of you from our audience contributed to this, and I can't say enough thank yous to you. But I hit my goal before my deadline, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Thank you so much. And a big round of applause to all of you in the What's Bruin Show audience. And if you'd still like to contribute, the link's in the show notes there. But I couldn't be more happy with how this turned out. So thank you very much. And now on with the show.
Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Ogden, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
Hey Bruin fans, this is David Singleton, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show. Go Bruins.
Hey, this is Wayne Cook, and you're listening to What's Bruin Show.
Hey guys, this is Chris Johnson, UCLA National Champion. I need y'all to listen to the What's Bruin Show. These dudes are off the hook.
This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello, welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Berryfield, and it's just me right now. Mike may have a little segment later. It's been quite a week for everybody as far as putting this show together, so I apologize for being a little bit late. And we'll just see how it goes. You know, UCLA football about to play the Crosstown Showdown in a relatively meaningless game in relation to the rest of the series. Doesn't really mean a lot for this team or this staff other than just the pride of this particular game. So here's hoping they can bow up and play a nice game, but who knows? UCLA men's basketball just lost to Cal. That was a bummer for everybody except for Jamaal and my daughter Megan, and we're all kind of heard about that. Not sure how much we're going to talk about any of those things this week because it's been hard for me to get Mike and me on the same page because we're going to and fro. I will be on Reign of Troy radio and YouTube tonight at 7 p.m. This is Wednesday night. So if you want to see what I have to say about the Crosstown Showdown, that's where it will be most likely. We do have a hotline, and we do take your calls, and it is 805-399-4WBS, Second Reign of Troy. And just the last couple of weeks has been so weird this fall that I know some of your calls went by the wayside. I know one from Nancy is on there. I know one from Carrie is on there. I think one from Diego is on there. I think one from the Mike and Mikes are on there. And I want to apologize because now, obviously, they're a little stale and old at this point, so I'm probably not going to play them. But please keep calling, and I'll try not to have that sort of oversight again. We love it when you guys call. However, I still have a bunch of calls for this week that we're going to get to, and that's what we'll do first. And then after that, we'll see what we plug in with Mike and with me, and we'll go from there. But it is a holiday week, and I want to thank all of you for listening and wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I hope everything goes well for you over the holiday, whether you're hosting or traveling or whatever it is that you do. We were planning on hosting, and we still might host, but we've had a couple things going on in the household that are kind of preventing us from doing that. One being that my daughter Megan, the Cal Berkeley Bear, my co-host on the Bare Minimum, got onto her plane with a sore throat and got off the plane like full-blown sick, apparently. So it's been a little rough over here in the Merrifield household, but we're battling through, and we hope that you guys don't have to do any of that and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. So also, I want to thank you guys once again for helping me hit my goal for my fundraising for the half marathon I'm going to do at the Rose Bowl. It'll be the last time I'll be at the Rose Bowl for a while, apparently, right? That's so weird. But that's coming up in January, but I wanted to hit my goal of raising $2,500 before Thanksgiving and snuck it in right before the bell, and it's done. And if anybody would like to still contribute, it's still there. But I'm really happy and so thankful for the support that the What's Bruin Show audience, among others, gave me for this charity event. So thank you so much. Now, without any further ado, let's get to some calls.
Hey, fellas. Good morning. This is Tony, and very early on a Saturday morning, calling you ahead of the Washington game, which I will be at the Rose Bowl for tonight. Quite possibly the last game that I will ever attend, if it's a true matter of them moving to the SoFi. Anyhow, I had a comment about SoFi in just a minute. But first of all, I was listening to the replay of this last podcast, or second to last podcast, and couldn't help but to hear that, Jake, you were in Vegas at the Luxor. Oddly enough, I was calling to say that I saw a guy who was a dead ringer for you. And it must have been you walking through the Luxor last weekend on, I believe, Saturday. But anyhow, I'm sorry I didn't tap you on the shoulder to say, hey, you look like a friend. Either way, good to see that you were there. Hopefully you had a good time. Vegas was very good to us this time around, so no complaints there. Anyhow, get back to my original comment. Look, I'm really bummed about the prospect of UCLA moving from the Rose Bowl to SoFi. As a 20-plus year season ticket holder, I've done my part to voice my opposition to the move. Not only is it breaking away from, a beautiful establishment with the best possible layout for tailgating that college football has, arguably, right? And then to move possibly to a damn parking lot where parking is probably going to be outrageous, tailgating on the concrete, no trees around, no thank you. I will opt out of my season ticket package, no longer be a football season ticket holder, but my loyalty won't waver, right? Obviously, Bruins till the end, and that won't change. Also, my loyalty to the show won't change, so hopefully you guys will keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate what you guys do. Jake, hopefully that coin flip works out in our favor and I get the chance to say hi to you. Mike, hope to see you as well and say hi, and you guys have a good one. Hopefully I'll call in after the Washington game with a cheery prospect or a cheery reflection of the game. Take care, guys. Talk to you soon, and go Bruins.
Thank you so much, Tony, for calling in. And obviously, the Washington game didn't go any way in which we wanted to go. Kind of an ass kick in there, 48-14. Although it's kind of funny, that game, afterwards, I heard all of the, oh my gosh, most embarrassing game ever at the Rose Bowl, yada, 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 yada. And I don't know, I just didn't view it like that. I viewed it as a team that was competing early, and then they just created so much adversity for themselves with the turnovers in the second quarter. And, it was a fumble return, right? Whatever that was, at 13-0, I still felt like they had a very good chance to kind of battle and stay in this game and, and make it close. And then, once it's 20-0 and they've had the two turnovers and the weird turnovers that they were, then it was just kind of like, that was it for them. But I didn't view this as a game like the Indiana game or the Ohio State game or, earlier games this year. I thought there was plenty more embarrassing games for the Bruins. It's sad to say, in a 48-14 home loss for the Bruins than this particular one. It just, they got underwater quite a bit and then just kind of gave it up, which, on a team that doesn't have a coach and a team that is got 3 wins and a team that isn't really playing for anything except for that particular game, it was understandable how that happened. But anyways, they didn't win. And also, Tony, I'm sad to say I didn't get to see it at the Rose Bowl because I ended up not going because, like I said, it's been quite a week, kind of things conspiring against me to not make it to that game. I ended up donating my tickets to some friends from college. They had a group of about 50 people out there, so I hope they have fun out there. The Cindy and Tuck Buoys, love them very much, and I'm glad that they were able to enjoy the tickets. But as far as you're saying about the Rose Bowl, Tony, I am with you in that I don't think I'm going to renew my season tickets for the last, 8, 9, 10 years. You're really only buying season tickets for the Bruins because you love the Bruins so much that you're willing to pay, 40% above market value for 95% of the games in order to attend those games. Because if you just bought those tickets for almost any game other than the SC game, and maybe, occasionally a non-con opponent, not recently, but you're literally paying probably at least 30-40% what you could pay just the day of a day during the week of the game. That doesn't count for the SE game for sure. That's one where the value still holds. But my point being is, I've bought these tickets year after year as a fan because I love the Bruins and I love going to the Rose Bowl and all that stuff. And if that's not there anymore, I don't tailgate, but I understand how people would be upset with that going away because SoFi is not the same. And I'm not really opposed to going to SoFi. I'll probably still go to quite a few games, but I'm not going to be a season ticket holder anymore, I don't believe. So I guess we'll see how it goes. And last thing, Tony, you did see me in Vegas, I'm sure. And next time you see me in Vegas, definitely come up and grab me by the shoulder and tell me what's up. I would have been happy to see you. So, all right, very good. So let's get to the next call. Thanks for calling, Tony.
Hey, what's Bruin Show? It's Mike from Santa Clarita. Calling almost today after UCLA's penultimate game of the 2025 season, potentially their final game at the Rose Bowl, and what is for sure their final home game of the season. Excuse me if you hear my kids in the background. We're out for a walk on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. It was a bittersweet time being at the Rose Bowl. Bitter in the sense that game was absolutely dreadful from the start, almost in line with all the other home games we've had this season outside of Maryland and Penn State. It was sweet in the sense that my kids were all able to be there. Both of my kids, I have two boys. And my brother's family came in from out of state, and all of their kiddos and our kiddos, my parents were able to tailgate and lot-eye and just enjoy the Rose Bowl. So we definitely came for the memories and look back on all the great times we had, and definitely did not want to overlook that opportunity and miss out. But I'm hopeful that was not our last game in Pasadena. I'm hopeful that enough of a roadblock is in our way to slow down this terrible choice to move to SoFi. I'm a huge Charger fan, and the reality is SoFi's barely been an appropriate home venue for the Chargers. What makes us think it's going to be better for us? So, anyway, we've got one more against USC. Take the job, buddy. And hopefully we can end this season on a high note. Probably won't, but hey, let's beat SC, bring the victory bell home. All right, guys, go Bruins. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Mike, and hope springs eternal. And I hope those kiddos are all right. Sounds like you're out for a very good walk. Yeah, I'm glad you got to get out to the Rose Bowl and enjoy that with your family. We talked about that a minute ago. I am sad that I didn't get out there for the game, but all you can do is enjoy what we have while we're there, right? And I don't have a super negative view of playing games at SoFi. Certainly the weather will be better in that regard, but I do, once again, completely understand how upset fans are about the tailgating situation, because that's how a lot of fans enjoy their college football. And it's just such a big, big thing. And then inside the game, even though the Rose Bowl doesn't mean as much as it doesn't mean the same thing that it did 10 years ago. It's not the same game, the Rose Bowl game. The venue doesn't have the same importance just because it's not as relevant anymore. There's no way to get around it with the way the playoff has changed things. But when you're sitting in the game and you get the sight lines of being in the Rose Bowl and the mountains behind in the Arroyo Seco and all that stuff, it's just very, very much something that you think you'd want to preserve. But we'll see how it goes. But once again, Mike, thank you for calling, and let's get to the next call.
Hey, it's Leo from the library. I just read the funniest thing I have seen in a really long time. Chip Kelly just got fired from the Raiders. Oh, it couldn't happen to a better asshole. Oh, I fucking wish him the worst. Anyway, let's beat SC this week and end this miserable fucking season on a high note. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, Leo, I don't think I could have said that better myself. I think we all had a nice little chuckle when Chip got dismissed from the Raiders. That is going to go down in history as my least favorite coaching staff of all time. When you tell me you have Pete Carroll as a head coach and Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator. And so, I'm not sad at all that the old silver and black, who I used to be the biggest fan of, the Raiders are the team that I was the fan of first. 1983 Super Bowl, ironically enough, Marcus Allen running all over the Redskins. And I was a silver and black fan to the early 2000s. And then not so much after that, but gosh, it didn't work out the way they wanted, I guess, did it this year. But yeah, Leo, let's hope the Bruins can summon something and beat SC this week. I'm going to talk about this more on Ray and Troy later, but I kind of feel like this is a game that the Bruins shouldn't win. The Trojans are going to be favored. The Trojans have everything going for them, have a reason to win the game. The Bruins have every reason to not win this game. But just kind of based on what I thought about with the Washington game last weekend, they got their ass kicked in that game. And that certainly could happen here against SC if it starts not going in their direction. But I really do think this Bruin team with Skipper hopefully getting them motivated. And by the way, this is all if all the relevant players are playing, if Nico's playing and all that. If everybody plays and they're there at the Mausoleum to take on the Trojans, I think this is a game where the Trojans are going to have to take them out of the game, kind of like Washington did, kind of some sort of steamroller thing early to really get them out of it. And if that doesn't happen, I really could see this Bruin team sticking around and making a game of this and making it really hard for the Trojans. And I could see the Trojans collapsing in the end if it's close heading towards the end of the game. Obviously, if the Trojans get up big early, I really wouldn't be surprised if this team kind of folds like they have in other games like that. But this is a team that shows heart within a particular game, and if they can summon that for this game, then I definitely see them hanging in here because SC's defense is banged up and not very good anyway, and I think that there's things the Bruins could take advantage of if they're playing at their, at a high level for them. And as far as USC's offense goes, I think that if the Bruin offense is doing their part to, keep the USC defense on the field, that's going to lead to the Bruin defense being able to kind of hold their own against USC's offense. I'm not going to say stop them, not going to say shut them out or anything near that, but hold them to an effort where UCLA's offense can kind of make a game of it, right? And that's really what I think is important. It's all going to be based on how well UCLA's offense plays, in my opinion. And if they can do that, then I think the rest of the team can come along and make a game of it. And that's what I'm hoping to see. Thank you for the call, Leo. Let's get to the next call.
Hey, Jake, this is Diego calling. Just maybe my last call, but
I hope not, Diego. And I don't have my other board plugged in, so I'm not going to play your theme music, but don't make it your last call. We don't want that.
Wanted to say thanks for hanging in there this season despite the terrible year. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and to all the Bruin fans out there that have struggled to get this far. I didn't even really watch the Washington game. It wasn't really a game. That's where we are. We have disconnected from football. We don't really have a football team. We have some guys that put on uniforms and go out there, line up occasionally, and that's about it. It's not really a football program anymore. And this is what I've been preaching, and nobody's really paid much attention, I guess, until now. But left to its own devices, UCLA will destroy this program, and you're seeing it happen in real time. And I know everybody feels loyal to UCLA, they love UCLA and all that stuff, but they're no good at this, and they're not set up in their current configuration to have a shot at this. They just don't. Their mind space is elsewhere. They're more into social justice, and they're really not into winning football games. So it's a big change. The school I went to is gone. This is a new school. Been completely rebuilt and restaffed and repurposed. So anyway, until they get that fixed, good luck. And, we got to get rid of Jarman, of course. I sound like a broken record. And give the new coach a shot, give him plenty of leeway. Hopefully get this NIL thing straightened out so we get some money into the program and see what happens. But we can't keep going with UCLA here. We've got to get them out of the program. And we probably should get a general manager in addition to the new coach to wall off the Morgan Center people, wall off the administration, just let this thing run as a, kind of a wholly owned subsidiary, if you will. See what happens. I think they can do really well, but they can't do it as long as UCLA is involved. Keep, wearing the uniforms, wear the letters and all that stuff, but we can't have Jarman, Frank, and all these other people anywhere near the program. So anyway, they're going to get crushed by SC. Going to be a 3-9 finish. They probably end up with a second-tier coach. Who would want to work for Jarman, right? I mean, it's so idiotic and it's so UCLA. They need to get the AD out and let the AD have a hand in bringing in the new coach. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, isn't that what a normal, rational, success-oriented, merit-based organization would do? It would get rid of the person overall in charge and let that person take a new, fresh hand and get some new people. But no, they won't do that. They at least to this point, they won't do it. Maybe that'll change now when they actually do thump down at 3-9 and it's final. Maybe that'll be enough to generate some momentum away from Jarman. But I mean, everything in the program is broken. Obviously, the talent level, the on-field performance, the coaching, the administration, and now we hear the NIL is broken, or at least UCLA is revealing that they really don't have any idea how to handle NIL. They doxed all the big donors. I mean, what else could be going wrong here? Is there anything going right? Is there anything happening within the UCLA football program that UCLA hasn't screwed up completely? So break it apart and reorganize. And I hope they'll do that. So anyway, enough about that. 3-9, had a little titillation there in the middle of the season, but otherwise just probably the worst season I've ever seen. Donahue had a 3-8 there after Troy Aikman left, but this is worse. These games aren't even competitive. I mean, as you can tell, we're off and out of the possibility of winning the game. 10 minutes in, it's usually 14-0, 10 zip, something like that. So, in any case, let's go Bruins. Let's hope we can rebuild this thing. But it's going to take more than just a new coach. It's going to take a total realignment of attitude, of organizational principles, and let's hope they have the guts to do that. So, in any case, have a happy holiday season. Thanks for doing the show, and I look forward to listening to it next time you do it. Bye.
Wow, that's like 5 minutes of fury from old Diego, and that's what I've come to appreciate, and I really appreciate you calling in, my man. It's good to hear from you, so I hope that's not the last time you call, and we'll have your walk-up drop ready for you next time you do call. Me and Diego, I think, are on the same page in a lot of respects on a lot of things when it comes to the UCLA football program. We both feel like it's not where it needs to be. I don't think I am in the same boat of Diego as in it has to be completely stripped down and, kind of rebuilt from scratch, although I wouldn't be opposed to it, but that's probably not where I land right now. I think they could make a good hire, and I think they could be a good team just by making a good football coach hire. And I think that might, do the trick for them to get back to where we want them to be, at least to some degree. However, counterpoint to that very broad statement I just made is, well, yeah, Diego has a point. They have an NIL situation that is either a complete embarrassment or completely wrongheaded or just some level of degree of confused in how they're communicating it to people, right? I had my own very, very tiny experience with the NIL apparatus that was kind of frustrating for me, and it's all part of what's been documented, but it's like they haven't got that quite right yet, so that's something pointing towards something's not quite right with the administration. The Rose Bowl to SoFi situation has been completely bungled to some degree, whether it's just because the news got out and the Rose Bowl filed the papers and all that stuff, but that's not something that's made fans happy or bring fans flocking back to the program, is it? Obviously, the results on the field aren't where they need to be. The hiring of Deshaun Foster wasn't what it needed to be. The dismissal of Chip Kelly wasn't what it needed to be. And so I don't really know, other than just like looking at college football and saying, oh yeah, when that team hires a coach, they generally do better. And it's not like that administration has everything figured out, those very broad statements. I don't have a whole lot of evidence to kind of debate the points Diego's making, and if you're on you need to fire Jamaal, you need to start over, you need to, go. I don't know if I'm with the whole privatizing of college football stuff. If that's where it's going, I guess I'll accept it, but I don't think I'm in favor of it. But point being, Diego makes some very valid points. And there are a lot of red flag warning signs, this is a problem sort of things going on in this program, and they have been going on for a long time. And if that's where you're at as a fan, I can't blame you. So as always, Diego, a voice of the people for us, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Diego. All right, last call, and then I don't know what I'm going to get from Mike or what else I'm going to do, but we'll see. Here's the last call.
I'm actually on my way to the Cal UCLA men's basketball game. Hi, What's Bruin Show? It's Carrie.
Yay! Hi, Carrie.
Thanks for your podcast. I really liked hearing you guys from campus and from Poly. I'm actually on my way to the Cal UCLA men's basketball game, which should be fun. The game that you were at with Sac State was kind of the beginning of a defensive epiphany, I think, for the starters. The team that started that Sac State game did really well. And I mean, I can see why Cronin put them out there. Like, they were able to play the type of ball that Cronin wants. And I think it allowed the starters to kind of wise up to how effective that system is. So Sac State was a great game, and then they really excelled with Presbyterian. 40-something points. Yeah, they had a great game. But going back to the Arizona game, I agree with Bill. Like, Donovan Dent was maybe trying to do too much, and he's kind of like Sharice Ledger Walker. Like, it's the dishing that really puts him over the top, and when that's combined with just driving into the paint, it's really effective. But when you're only relying on one of them, you can be easily shut down, especially by Arizona, who may be the best team in the country. If not, they're definitely one of the best. So it'll be interesting if there's a rematch this year. The women's basketball, obviously, just lights out. I agree with Mike. Like, Ledger Walker is the more prototype starting point guard, but she really complements Kiki. And I think frees Kiki up to expose some of her other talents. So I like how those two work together at the point guard position. And I don't know what to say about the football coaching search. I just hope that whoever they pick wins. I think we're all in the same boat. Just wanting to have a solid pick would be a huge shift for UCLA football. So, yeah, that's I think that's all I got. And looking forward to your next show. Go Bruins.
Thank you so much for calling, Carrie. It's always good to hear from you and save the best for last. So I'm sorry you had what turned out to be just a terrible time up there in San Francisco over that terrible game that the Bruins lost to the Golden Bears. Megan and I were going to watch it, and then Megan is absolutely just sick as a dog right now, so we didn't watch it all. I just paid attention to the score, watched that, and the Lakers beat the Clippers last night. But obviously, I like the Lakers a lot better because the Bruins were just dreadful, and now we have injury concerns, and we don't questioning everything, and Mick Cronin sounds like a broken record after a game. And my from the hip thought on this is that I've seen Mick Cronin teams struggle early and then kind of get it together and peak, and it's like there's always an adjustment to how he coaches these players. And at the end of seasons, I'm always struck by how much how bought in, generally speaking, Mick Cronin players are for these teams that have been playing for the Bruins. But just because that's happened in the past, there's no guarantee of that happening this year. And every group is a particular group. And, if Donovan Dent is not picking up what Mick Cronin's putting down, this team is not going to be successful. And if Tyler Bilodeau is broken and not going to be able to play, it's going to be very, it's going to jeopardize this team's future going forward as well. So it's like, you really hope that they get it together. It's still the non-con. They could still be very successful in the Big Ten and have a great season, but certainly it's not great when you're losing these games. It's just not, and it's not great when you're struggling. But then again, they played Arizona kind of to the wire, and I thought they should have won the game, and they didn't. So which team is it? So they have some more tests coming up in the next couple of weeks. The Gonzaga game and all that is going to be coming up. So I guess we'll just have to see. They got Washington, Oregon opening up the season. So, the next 3 games are going to be huge in how they hang in, weather the storm, kind of. If they just get, they end up putting up 2-3 losses in a row, 2-3-4 losses in a row, which is entirely possible, then we're talking about a different situation. If they battle back and play good in these next 3-4 games, then now we're talking about something different again. So we'll see how it goes. Certainly it's not where we want it to be. And, you hate to see the Bruins dig another hole that they have to dig out of. And, we feel great going in, and then we feel kind of bad in the early part of the season. And they're like, oh no, maybe they got some here. And then they start to do good. And then at the end of the season, they're playing well, but it doesn't always, end up with what we want. And Cronin's made his Final Four. He almost made 2 Final Fours, but each year is its own year. And, as it goes on and more of these years look like this, it's like, is this the ride that we want to be on? I don't know. So I guess you have to choose for yourself. And the women's team is kicking butt. I'm sure Mike will have a lot to say about that whenever he talks again. But we're proud of the women's basketball team for sure. Still undefeated, still kicking ass, and playing Texas in 1 hour from when I'm saying these words right now. Obviously, probably not. This will get published much later, but they're about to play Texas, number 4, and if they beat Texas, then we're going to be feeling so much even better than about them. So go Bruins, and let's mess with Texas. How about that? Okay, so it turns out that the women's team not going to mess with Texas. Texas is going to kick their ass for the first half, and then they're going to crawl back and get back in the game, get within 4 with a few minutes left, but then end up losing the game. 76-65. It was not a good one for our Bruins. And, number 4 Texas takes down number 3 UCLA, and it's just been that kind of week for UCLA fans, hasn't it? So there we go. That happened, and I'm not going to say too much more about it. I'm sure you have lots of thoughts and opinions. All I will say is that the key stat for me in this one, 20 turnovers by the women's team, gave Texas quite a few more opportunities to score, and that turned into an 11-point win. They play Duke next on 11/27 tomorrow, and on Thanksgiving, and that'll be at 7:30 p.m. on True TV. So tune in after you watch the NFL and see if they can bounce back against the Blue Devils. Okay, so that's enough basketball talk for me. We don't have Mike. He's not going to be able to do anything for the show, and I'm sure he'll come back next week and complain about all sorts of things. But I was able to get a hold of Michael Castillo to talk some UCLA, USC football, Crosstown Showdown. Just a few minutes on this show, but we did 2 hours on Reign of Troy tonight. So if you want to hear me with Michael and Alicia, please go on to the Reign of Troy feed and check out that show, or go on to YouTube and go to the Reign of Troy channel and check out that show, because we had a great podcast. Talked about all sorts of stuff, and I thought it came out pretty darn good. So head over there, but without further ado, let's bring on my good buddy, one of my BFFs, Michael Castillo from Reign of Troy. Well, I am absolutely pleased at punch to be in the Reign of Troy studios right now. We're not going to hear from Mike today. He bought a car yesterday and did not have a chance to record anything, and we could not hook up because of all this stuff going on at my house. But I am here at the Reign of Troy studios, and I have none other than my good friend, one of my best friends in the whole entire world, Michael Castillo, is here on the What's Bruin Show. Michael, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me here. It feels
in your
great.
home.
Yeah, it feels great to come to my home and be a guest. I love it. I'm
be our
glad,
guest.
Glad
be our
to
guest.
be here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the only thing I love, we're in Troy's studio. I get to see all these nice, old vintage covers from programs of years past, and your Chicago Cubs memorabilia. And you just showed me this awesome chart you made for last year's NCAA football game, like a play chart. It's always fun to be over here, Michael. But the only thing I don't like about your studio is the antisocial setup of me not being able to look you in the eyes while we're podcasting. Right now, I'm just looking at the back of a monitor, and I know that your face is over there, but
technically we're not doing video right now. So
we're not.
I could kind of move.
I mean, now I see, now you look like Buster from Arrested Development when he was at the Milford Academy. Not very many people would understand that.
I don't get that reference.
I know you don't, but I do.
Like
it's really,
Wilson from...
It's really funny.
From Home Improvement?
The idea is but the idea is a Milford man is... neither seen nor heard, and so they're always hiding behind stuff. So, anyways, whatever.
Milford man, that was my nickname in high school.
I'll bet Narbonne, right?
That's right.
Go Narbonne.
Arbor City Narbonne, as Eric Sonheimer would call it.
That's right. Let's go. So, anyways, Michael, we don't have a lot of time because in a few minutes we're gonna fire up Reign of Troy and the video and the whole 9 yards, and we're going to be on there. I'm going to be a guest of yours, but I want to do a little bit for our show, for the Crosstown Showdown, our annual tradition, which we're going to barely keep alive this year, but hopefully next year we can do it bigger, and hopefully next year the game means more. Hopefully next year the game is more interesting. Hopefully next year the game is going to be more fun. I don't know how much fun this is going to be. It's going to be fun if UCLA manages to win, but I want to get your take on SC right now as it stands at, they are 8-3 right now, correct?
Correct. Yes.
They just came off of getting beat by Oregon up in Autzen. That was a rough game for y'all. You're kind of in the game the whole time, but never quite within. And that's the doggies. We don't care about that in the West Bruin show. It's okay. We're used to that. But the Oregon game, you guys were kind of within shouting distance the entire game, had opportunities the entire game, but never quite pulled it through, and so you lost the game. Is that a fair way to characterize it?
Yeah,
to a degree.
We had this discussion on our show about was SC really close, and it depends on what your definition of close is. SC was within a possession in the fourth quarter. To me, that means that that you are close to some degree.
Certainly, absolutely, but you never really got to you got within striking distance, but then you end up losing the game. You end up losing the game by 14 or whatever.
There were key moments that didn't go SC's way that could have absolutely put them on level footing or close to level footing, and they did not take advantage of those.
Yeah.
So if your definition of being close is being tied or anything like that, then they weren't close.
But so with that being said, I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about any particular thing, but if you could give me just a couple minutes of where you see SC right now heading into the Crosstown Showdown, last game of the season for you guys. I know it is for us.
Last game for you guys. Last game potentially for Tim Skipper.
Certainly, probably.
But I don't know, because SC I think SC is a pretty good team this year. They have been a chalk team. They've been your standard Michigan under Harbaugh before he won a national championship, or James Franklin team, in the sense of they've beaten everybody that they should. Their losses were to ranked teams on the road.
Right.
It's a very chalk season. They've played very well at home.
It sounds like a standard.
Very well at home.
It sounds like a standard Chip Kelly year for your SC Trojans, right?
Yeah,
lining right up with Lincoln Riley's tenure, right?
Yeah. It's a good season. Is it a great season? No, and it's not a great season because SC fans want to go, of course, to the college football playoff.
Yep.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You
Thanks,
kidding
Jim.
me?
Yeah, and SC's not there. But at the same time, they have to take the next step, and the next step, you could argue, is the hardest one to take. So,
Michael, no, I totally get that. Now look, I want to throw out, we were talking about this kind of off air about the expectations that some of the USC fan base has for USC, and it's really is a kind of a title or bust sort of mentality. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of equating that to the Laker fans. There's a segment of Laker fans that are title or bust. And to a degree, it's fair because these are very successful teams over time. Various, eras where they had wild success, right? Yeah. But for a rational, reasonable fan of a team, I would say, Michael, would you say that this season for SC, we're not talking about this. Of course, it's not a great season because they're not in the running for the college football playoffs. Talking about playoffs, yada yada. But it's also not a terrible season. Is there something with fans not just the championship for bus fans, but just with all fans, to where this season isn't quite satisfying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to make a comparison here to UCLA basketball. Imagine that you have not gone to the Final Four, the Sweet 16 for 5-6 years, and you win a tournament game. Maybe you go to the Sweet 16, but like you win a tournament game, but like you're not a Final Four team. But like, would there be disappointment in that? Because on one hand, you're improving because you've gotten further than you've gotten recently, and you've improved on what you did the year before. Because the year before you didn't even go to the NIT, but now you've won a game in the tournament, but you're only in the round of 32. But your standard for UCLA basketball is probably at least the Sweet 16 every year, right?
Pretty much.
And so like, well, if you didn't win, if you just did the bare minimum of making the tournament and winning a game, like, should that even be applauded? And then like, that's the question SC fans are having, where like 9-3 is just for as far as SC fans are concerned, should be your average down year.
Right.
And it's a good down year. It's a good rebuilding year and all that, those kind of things. But like, it shouldn't be the high water mark for the last 3 seasons like it is.
Right.
And so like, in some ways, SC is just performing like where they should be the whole time. And in some ways, they've really improved from the previous 2 seasons. And so like both of those things are sort of true at the same time.
And it's really funny too, because like I said, I keep drawing parallels between this era with Riley and then what UCLA fans went through with Chip Kelly to a large degree. And it is like, even when he was having the good seasons, there were things that you shook your head at and going, oh man, well, why couldn't they just get that done? And the one thing you don't have this year is the inexplicable loss at this point, right?
Yeah.
Chip Kelly's era was this signature move was having the inexplicable, just how did he do that loss? Would losing to UCLA this year be that loss?
1,000%.
And so then give me a minute about why.
I think the reason why is pretty simple. SC 2 years ago was in this situation where they had just lost to Oregon in a very similar type of game, a game in which they were outplayed, but also a game in which they made it interesting in the fourth quarter, but they couldn't get closer, and they lose by 2 scores to Oregon. That at the time made SC 7-4. Now they're 8-3, so they're a game behind that. But then they come home to play UCLA. And 2 years ago, Caleb Williams' last game, it was the only time under Lincoln Riley that the Trojans no-showed. Absolute no-show. They got thoroughly outplayed. Danton Lind looked great as UCLA's defensive coordinator. Caleb Williams didn't do anything. SC didn't do anything on offense. Like, they looked lethargic the entire game. That happening to UCLA in a rivalry game 2 years ago after an emotional loss on the road to Oregon makes me think that it's very possible to happen again. And that's UCLA's pathway to success here, because on paper, SC plays very, very good at home. They beat the teams that they should beat at home. And this is a game in which the line is 22 points. Like, UCLA doesn't force negative plays.
Right.
They don't do the things that would get SC into trouble. And so UCLA needs SC to come out and not want to be there. And I think that that sounds like a big ask, but it's not, given that SC literally did that last time they played against UCLA at home after a loss to Oregon.
It's funny too, and that's exactly kind of my take on this game, is that this game should go SC's way if SC can get out and just kind of beat it out of UCLA, right? Just beat them up a little bit.
If they play to their averages.
I think it would. Well, yeah, and I think it would look very similar to last week versus Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
UCLA was hanging in there for a good quarter, and even they're 13-0, and still UCLA was. You could tell they were battling, but then they have these 2 inexplicable turnovers, and it just kind of went sideways from there. I don't think this is a UCLA team that's going to battle back from a great deficit, but if you tell me that we're in the third quarter and they're still battling, then I like UCLA's chances in the game, right? And I think that's what SC has to really beware of. Now, Michael, we got it. We're going to talk a lot more about this game on your show, which will be on YouTube and on the podcast, and all that stuff, Radio Troy Radio, yada, yada, yada. But just give me just a 2-minute rundown of any injury report that you have for SC heading into this game.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it that quickly.
That
Wayman
sounds
Jordan.
good. I love the sound of that.
SC's running back has been practicing, but he hasn't played since getting injured early in the Michigan game. Don't hold your breath. He could play. I don't know that he would play, especially at this point with the playoff not being on the line or anything like that. SC has had a bunch of injuries on the offensive line. Elijah Page, left tackle, has been out. The centers have both been in and out of the lineup. Killian O'Connor and Jaron Reed have been in and out of the lineup. And on defense, SC last week against Oregon was without two of their three, if not their two best players on defense, in Kamari Ramsey, who you know.
Yes.
And Bishop Fitzgerald, the transfer safety, who is a semifinalist for the Thorpe. So, like, if those are injuries that continue to be there, then that's going to be a big issue. And so, like, I would just assume that everybody's out until proven otherwise.
Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, cool. Well, Michael, please, thank you very much for being on the show. And if you guys want to hear us talk about the show with Alicia D'Artola, the Penguin, and Troy, then hop onto YouTube. Well before I publish this, or just go back in your podcast feed and look for that on Rain Troy Radio. Michael, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. It was great having me here.
Always is. Thank you. Bye.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
All right. Well, Mike's not going to have a What's Brewing this week, but I can tell you this: he bought a new car, and he's happy about it. That's good. Good on you, Mike. I'm happy for you. And you'll be cruising around in some new wheels. Hopefully, they don't break down very much. What's brewing for me is it is the eve of Thanksgiving. I just spent some time in the kitchen with my wonderful daughter, Molly. She is making some mac and cheese and a key lime pie and something else. I'm trying to remember what that is, but it doesn't matter. We're going to be making cranberry bread in the morning. I did half the recipe tonight. And then I'm going to be making a turkey and a bunch of other stuff for Thanksgiving. And the reason I am doing it this year instead of my wife, Sarah, is because she is basically incapacitated. I have to push her around in a wheelchair like this Professor X. She's got a back issue going on now. So we're going to pull together as a family and get Thanksgiving done. She's going to boss me around, and I'm going to try to carry out her orders without, jumping off a bridge or something. But it'll be fine. And the reason we host Thanksgiving is because we're the people in the family that can cook. And I cook a lot during the year, and usually Thanksgiving is her day because she is so excellent at it. She's a natural cook. I am a person that follows recipes, but I've kind of developed myself into something better. But bottom line is she is not able to do the actual cooking today, so we're going to rally up for her and get it done. We're going to host a group of people for Thanksgiving. Everything will be homemade, every darn thing, and it will be good. So that's what I got on my plate. I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday and the long weekend if you have it. If you got to work, then good, get out there and get it done and enjoy the time you have off. But thank you, everyone, for listening to the What's Bruin show. This has been one of the roughest years of UCLA football I can remember. It's certainly a year of UCLA football that I have disconnected from at different times for different reasons and then come back and then gone away. And bottom line is, if you're still listening to our show, we appreciate you and we thank you for your support. Once again, I want to thank everybody that donated to my run at the Rose Bowl. I was really focused on raising enough money to, hit my goal by Thanksgiving, and I am ever so thankful to all of you for helping me do that. Thank you so much. And now I just got to make sure I don't get hurt before I run around the Rose Bowl, so that'll be fun. We will be back probably next Tuesday with a show for the Crosstown Showdown. I probably won't do a post game because I may or may not be in Berkeley. I might not be now because Megan is sick, and so we might not go. She might not march in her last game as a senior, and I know she's very broken up about that. But there is a bowl game out there, so we got that going for us. But anywho, we'll see what happens. If UCLA has some miraculous win over USC, then I very well might podcast. But, right now, that doesn't seem what's in the cards. But we'll see. Once again, listen to me on the Reign of Troy show. That was a lot of fun. Did like 2 hours on there, and I think you'll enjoy that. It was a great conversation. And until next time, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We love and appreciate you all. Enjoy the time with your families. Watch some football. I hope your fantasy teams are doing well. And until next time, Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Oh my God.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's got to be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rob, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.